And good evening to all of you joining us this wonderful Monday, January the 13th, 2025. Would you believe it? We are just 13 days into the month of January already. And my goodness, how time is flying. And I just want to welcome all of you to the show tonight, all of the loyal opposition, and all of you that are joining us from any other areas in the world. I saw some people joining us last week from Bermuda and from not only Bermuda but I believe Jamaica as well. And so we want to welcome you to this broadcast tonight, to this show tonight. We are happy to have you joining. And I'm going to try to be navigating some of this technology. But as you know, when it comes to this type of thing, in some instances, it could very well be monkey handling gun. Um, that's what they tell me. But well, that's how it is. That's how it is. But I want to welcome all of you to the show tonight. Those of you that are joining us from around the world, welcome. Those of you that have been waiting for quite a while, I mean, I see some persons that have been on. I don't know if they've been on here waiting since 10 minutes to 2, but I guess they've been logged, making sure they get that notification. But it's great to have all of you joining us again tonight. Good evening, loyal opposition. And those of you, the Barbados loyal opposition, and I believe this Monday evening has grown to become known as the CARICOM loyal opposition. And we are going to have our CARICOM members in again with us tonight. We're looking forward to a great show. We're going to be touching on a number of topics tonight. Of course, crime and gun violence is going to be right at the forefront. We're going to be looking at some matters to do with the economy and some matters to do with regathering. And just let me start by saying that this show is not a show that is deliberately set up to be critical of the government. But I have always said, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and you're doing a good job at it, I don't know that people would have an undue dissatisfaction with it. And I believe that if you're getting criticized, then you need to pay attention to what you are doing or not doing. All right. So just to confirm that you're picking me up clear, good and clear, getting a good image and you're getting good sound. If you could just give me a thumbs up or whatever, whatever they do, as it is on these technological things. But I'm going to be welcoming all of you in just a moment. Let me just drop back up there to the top and see who's been on here. Christ, good to have you, Christ, on the show tonight. Good evening, Cedric Strawn. Good evening to you as well, Taroni Hall. Great to have you back with us. Judy, thank you so much for being here. And thank you for the occasional clippets and snippets you send. I really do appreciate those. Marvin Alleyne and Jacqueline Alleyne, good evening to you as well. Loyal Daughter 66. Thank you for being here again tonight, you faithful persons. Owen Hines, of course, my Marcia that's there to keep me on my toes. Pubglyph, good evening to you as well. Sherry Phillips and Flojo Maloney. Sir Alfred, great to see you out of Brooklyn, New York. Well, Sir Alfred, I tell you, you're on one side of the United States of America getting all kinds of rain and cold weather and all that. The other side seems to be burning to the ground. We'll chat a little bit about that tonight. Marcia Miller, good evening to you as well. Beverly Prescott, great to have you with us this evening. Mildred Ben, ADG, good night to you as well, all you loyal sons and daughters. Lemuel Tell, good night to you as well. Thank you, Marcia, for confirming that you're hearing me loud and clear. Loyal Daughter 66, good evening to you. And Cecilia Miller and Lemuel Tull, good evening. And Mac Boland, good night to you. I like that. The Sovereign Loyal People's Opposition. Thank you, sir. Thank you so very much. Jacqueline Alleyne and Beverly Prescott, welcome again this evening. Let me just drop down a little bit. Trevor, great to have you back with us tonight. Cami, good evening. And Nigel, great to have you as well. Good night to you. Good night, sir. And yes, it's very serious. and we need to stop spinning top in mud. Absolutely. And I can't say I disagree with you, Nigel. We need to deal with the big fish and stop picking up the little what you call sprats, I think they used to call them. I tell you, Joseph, good evening to you. Sonia Perch, good night to you as well. Yes, Chris, Christ, still waters do run very, very, very deep. Hasbra, good evening to you. Ryan Rock, good night. A pleasure to have all of you with us this evening. Oh my goodness, we're up over 273, Marcia, and I didn't see that note from you telling me, Rev, get that national anthem going. Oh my goodness. I know. I'm going to start with that. Good evening to all of you and welcome, 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 welcome. Of course, this would not be the show unless we start it right. And it's the Barbados Loyal Opposition. And we will start it correctly with the national anthem of the Republic of Barbados. Ladies and gentlemen, shall we stand to attention? Praise God. I thank God for my national anthem. I tell you, I was looking at the words, before the program began this evening. And before I even get into that, let me follow up with our national pledge and share it together with me this evening. Would you please? I pledge allegiance to my country, Barbados, and to my flag, to uphold and defend their honor, and by my living to do credit to my nation wherever I go. And that ought to be the move, the goal of every single Barbadian, politician and non-politician alike. Do credit to our nation. It has always been concerning. Well, I won't say concerning, but it sends a wrong message when leaders of our country stand in the United Nations and don't even have on a symbol of our national flag or national colors. When there are others from different countries, even foreign ministers, who have them on. What are you ashamed of? Or is it that you represent the global elitists more than you represent our country? Our country elected you to govern. Our country elected you to look after what was in the best interest of the people of Barbados, not the best interest of the World Health Organization, who incidentally, I am going to try to find a clip tonight because I want you to hear what the United Nations expressed. And I think I shared this with you before, what they expressed in terms of our entire region and our globe and our world. And it is, I'm going to try to pull it up. I want to make sure I get the right thing. I'm going to let you hear from this is Dr. Sherry, and she'll be sharing in just a moment with a document that was passed in the UN. As you know, here on this show, we do our best to educate. We do our best to show what is happening on a global level that can have an impact upon us as a country. And we have often said, and I have often said here on this program, that there is a lot that is happening in Barbados and happening to Barbados that is not homegrown, and we need to correct that. All right, we need to correct that and do things that are homegrown. You know, home drums beat first. You know, I know. Look, I am not here to debate whether you like Donald Trump or don't like Donald Trump. Please don't comment. But I will say that there's one philosophical expression he has that I like, and that is make America number one. That is what any leader of a country should be primarily interested in, making their country the number one concern of their administration. And I appreciate that aspect. And that should be the same here. Instead of that, we are seeing a lot of things being imposed upon us. And as you know, Mr. Umar Abdullah has been sharing with us here on this platform on Monday evenings concerning the global agenda and how that global agenda is playing into not only our region, but into our individual countries. And we will be continuing that discussion tonight with Umar. He'll be coming on in a little while, and we'll be discussing further relative to that. And so also this evening, we have so much to unpack. And in a few moments, Dr. Alleyne will be joining me because, you know, the activities of the past couple of days should concern everybody in this country. Someone sent me a clip it, or sent us a clip it, please. Yes, I am speaking of Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, I believe it is. And someone sent me a clip it, and I don't think we should have a problem with her on the show because she has a number of things on YouTube and they haven't taken her down. So hopefully that won't affect our show here. Let me see. I was just looking for something here that they sent to me just today. And, you know, I was taken aback to the point of asking the individual who sent it to me, is this Barbados? Are we serious? There is a lady, and I'm going to see if I can pull it in. It's just, I think it's just a short clip, you know, about a minute or so long. We won't play the entire thing. But I saw this clip, and you know, where this lady is being held up in her veranda. Folk, this is serious, and I think the title for the show tonight had something to do with this is serious. No one is laughing. We just had a drive-by shooting in at the Ruba station. Is it Rice's? I believe it is. We just had a drive. But you know how many times I've been in that gas station? I've been in that gas station to get food, to get lunch, to pick up snacks as I've been going up that site. Folks, this is no longer, or I'm not going to say no longer, this is not a joke. This is a serious matter. And we need to hear the Attorney General. What is your plan? You're the chief, what I consider to be the number one law enforcement individual in the country. You are the number one, and I consider even above the Prime Minister. You're the Attorney General. And I feel for Mr. Corey Lane, to be honest, because I'm not sure. I know Corey. We have interacted on several occasions, and I must confess that I feel for Corey. I honestly do, because I don't know. There are things that are happening that I'm sure, folk, I'm sure that there are things that he is not comfortable with, not happy with. And I'll tell you, we need some solutions. I do not want to hear, as the folk would say, a lot of long talk. We need action. We need solutions. And in a few moments, I'm going to engage a discussion with Dr. Alleyne, Dr. Derek Alleyne, because over the years, my understanding is that he has tried, he has attempted to implement aspects that would assist within this particular area. And yes. Um, wow. Okay. I'm certain that he's some interesting, going to have some interesting matters to say, interesting things to say, and advice. We need solutions, and you know what? Our government doesn't have all the answers. The prime minister does not have all the answers. The attorney general does not have all the answers. And some of the ordinary people on the street can help. If you have an appropriate environment where people can come forward and offer their suggestions and opinions without intimidation, then I'm sure the people of Barbados will offer some sound solutions. And I'm not one to believe that only academia knows things. There are a lot of people. My father was not an academic, but I can tell you that a lot of the roads that he helped build in St. Andrew without a degree in engineering are still there today, have not been washed away, while some of the roads built after his time gone have had to be replaced or falling apart or slipping down the hill or whatever, because they knew a practical way of getting things done. And I'm grateful for those who have the academia, who bring that academia to bear on helping us to create some solutions in our country. But this matter is no longer something that we can laugh at, or even this is serious, folk. That shooting that left one man dead and another, a worker, an ordinary person. This is a serious matter. And the government has to tell the people of Barbados how these guns are getting in here, who is responsible for it, why is it happening, what is the area, if you have the guns, who's providing the ammunition. These are things that the people of Barbados are demanding, because it's no longer a light matter. It's very serious, and we need to take it in exactly that tone and that position. So as we begin this evening, as I said, there are a number of things we have to unpack tonight. I want to make sure that I get as much as I can into my time, because I do not want to take up any of Dr. Alleyne's time. He has to leave us at around 8 o'clock, so I want to make sure he has the maximum time to share. If there are any questions that you have, put them in the chat. I'll try to identify them. If there are any suggestions you have, put them in the chat. I'll try again to identify them so I can put it up and he can see it and we can discuss it as much as we can tonight. But I'm going to ask Dr. Alleyne and Maurice and Abraham to join me again, if it is at all possible, on a Wednesday, because we need to rein this thing in. This is not funny. This is a serious matter that can end up in the death of our children, our grandchildren, our brothers, our sisters, none of who are involved in this thing. Look at that worker at the gas station who is now in the Queen Elizabeth Hospital with a gunshot, with 2 gunshots. One to his foot, I understand, I think one to his hip or side, and he had nothing to do with what was going on. But I want you to take a look at this clip I'm going to show. Let me see if I can show it, because again, sometimes with monkey handling gun, I may not get it all correctly, but let me see if I can share this with you. And I want you to look at this. I don't think there is any sound to it. This is a lady. You can see her coming onto her porch with her torchlight. She actually runs onto the porch. She's looking around very concerned. This is right here in Barbados. I asked the person if they could please tell me this is not in Barbados. That's what I asked of the individual who posted this video. I said, no, this can't be Barbados. Look at this young man walk straight up there with a gun in his hand. Look, another guy coming with another gun in his hand, hoodies, and look, beating her up. Why you don't just take what you want to take? Look, a third guy come and a fourth guy come and beat up on the lady. This is serious stuff, folk. And I said to the person, tell me this is not Barbados. Tell me this is not Barbados, please. And then what we want to do is then we want to invite Barbadians back home to this country for a regathering. If I was overseas and anybody invited me to come back to Barbados, I would not put my foot here. We had, yes, you're right, Judith Ann Clark. I think there were 2 KFC workers last week. We had a hold-up, a robbery last week. What is going on? Who is to be held accountable for all of this criminal activity in Barbados? And why is it present? What is the source of it? Now, I know from the show last night, I know that there was a significant discussion about this. And I know that Mr. Glenn Murray has always expressed to me, and in the context of the show, the matter of organized crime. And he talked about last night, I remember him making the mention of I think somebody made the mention of Al Capone and others, organized crime. And it is concerning. It is deeply concerning. And to be honest with you, if I was sitting in the Attorney General's seat, I would be calling out the Defense Force or the Barbados, I don't know what they call them now, the Barbados Defense Force. I would be calling out the police department and the task force and putting all of the forces on this matter, calling in international assistance as well to root this out and bring it to an end. And I'm going to tell you this, that would include starting at the top, wherever that top is. And I can tell you, Judith, Marcia, I can tell you that nobody is going to want to come to this country to do nothing in money with this kind of thing happening. And folks, this is serious because it's not going to be long. It is not going to be long before a travel alert is issued concerning Barbados. And you know what that means for us? It means a decline, rapid decline in our tourism sector and a rapid decline in foreign exchange earnings. So this is something we need to take seriously. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to forego everything I wanted to say, and I'm going to bring in Mr. Alleyne early, if that's, and I hope he's ready. Let me bring him in. Good evening, Dr. Alleyne. I want to bring you in early because I know from listening to you last week, Wednesday, that you have, sir, a lot to say. And
yeah, thank you very much. And,
we want to hear from you, and we want to be educated by you concerning some of the things that you sought to implemented, from what I understand from last week, Wednesday, and then they disappeared. So welcome, sir, to the Marcia Week Show.
Yeah, good evening. I hope you all can hear me.
Yes, sir, we can hear you loud and clear. Loud and clear.
You know, I'm very cautious about making comments because people believe that because you are a member of the Democratic Labour Party, your comments are going to be political.
I tell you, silly.
And I have, for a long time, Marcia's been asking me to come on the show, and I said, look, people are going to feel that your show is becoming political. And after a while, I told her I'm going to come because there's some things that need to be said.
But Derek, sorry, Dr. Alleyne.
Derek is my name. Doctor, if you get belly hurt, no, I can't give you a prescription. All right, Derek Alleyne.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the permission. It is a political show, not because we are apolitical. If the government wanted to come on here, Derek, they are welcome. They will have to give answers. But we have never prevented them from coming. Whoever wishes to come on to the show to speak to the issues of Barbados that will benefit this country, we are more than happy to welcome to the show.
Yeah, my background, I am a public officer, but I spent a lot of time in youth and community development.
Yes, sir.
And I have advocated from the beginning that the problem with youth, guns and crime, deviance and so on, that those problems are not government problems. They are community problems. But the government must take the leadership because we have put them in office to lead and to direct the programs to respond to whatever it is, whether it's economics, finance, whatever. They have been given the responsibility to lead the response to whatever happens. From very early, Motley and her team have been in denial. And when they're in office, they do not understand that they have a responsibility to deal with the issues. And what they have been doing all the time is to bring short-term measures. So I'm not surprised that this pay for response, the issue that they had recently, where they were paying influencers and so on money and so on. I ain't even going there. I got a limited time this evening and I want to make some suggestions about some of the things that I believe that can help us to get Barbadians collectively focused on dealing with this matter. Is not a government issue, but the government has failed to take the lead and the citizenship has to take the responsibility of dealing with it. I say that with humility, but I know that this government does not have the integrity to even deal with the issues of gun violence and crime in Barbados. Barbadians need to take the initiative and deal with it. And I want to make some suggestions. Look, we have institutions in Barbados that we set up to deal with social and community development. We got a youth department. And I'm telling you that the director of youth department is competent beyond any complaints. He's very, very competent, skilled, qualified and everything. But he needs resources. He needs resources. He needs financial and human resources to get a program going for youth development and youth focus. He's had a responsibility ever since to change the focus of the program, and the national youth policy has been revised, and I think the government should come out and say what is the status of it. It has creative programs to deal with these issues embedded in that program. The program is sitting on somebody's desk for over a year, and nobody's addressing it. Nobody's addressing it. The community development department has no resources, limited resources, no financing. Our problems rest with our inability to deal with our communities and to build programs at the community level, whether this is in youth development, sports development, cultural development. If we focus on youth and community development, this country will not have the problems that we're having. Let me give a simple thing.
But before you go on, Dr. Derek, if I could ask you, because one of the things that you mentioned is that the community develop the area that deals with the community have no resources, no finance.
Community development department.
Good. Community development department.
Inadequately sourced qualitatively and quantitatively.
Right. But community development. Right. Now, we've been borrowing a ton of money, Derek. We've been borrowing millions of dollars. We are $8-point-something billion in debt. You mean to tell me that some of the $60 million that went to Hope, or the $5 million that went to Oystins, or any of the multi-million that went to the so-called multi-million that went to the World Cup could not have been directed to the community development department to put in place programs that would help our youth shift away from this type of deviant behavior?
Go ahead. That's my cry. My cry is that we have been putting the focus in the wrong place. We've put the responsibility on the police. The police deals with crime that has happened. Community development, youth development, cultural development, although they create an environment to reduce that kind of behavior and to instill within the citizenry a behavior that is about personal and community development. We have community development. I challenge this government to come out and say how many resources have been put at the disposal of community development to build youth development, to build creative community work in Barbados. It's done nothing. All they have done is to create an environment of dependency on the communities. They pick individuals and support an individual. All these youth commissioners and so on have not been qualified technically or creatively to build individual and community development. We have a problem. There are so many people who are qualified in youth and community development that have never been called to board. The people appointed to these posts are political operatives. That is the problem. It is about doing things for the party, not for the government or the people of Barbados. I was drawing a case. Let me give you a simple example. Our schools are under pressure. Our kids, primary level, go to school. Everything is focused on the 11 plus. Let's build a cadre of young people who understand group work, teamwork. Every project at school should have some part of a group, individual in a group, learning to deal with his peers, to deal with his other children. From the age of 7, 8, 9, 10, that's what we should be building, individual and community development, so that it becomes part of the individual's life, that he is part of a bigger group, of a bigger purpose. It's not only about his or her survival and development, but no, it's about the individual who get the most marks in 11 plus, and so on. 11 plus is a test that tells us that a child is at this level at 11, but it is not about the child's ability to live in a society. And before you even get 11 plus, a child should be part of a community of building individual, personal, and community responsibilities. We need to change our outlook on what the role of individuals is in Barbados. And we're not doing it. We become independent, now became republic, and we're still living in a phase of individual interests. And I can fight it, I can quarrel, I can be miserable.
But
Or society needs to change the focus, yes.
You know, Dr. Alleyne, one of the things that I have adopted, I've been involved in politics for a long time. My mother was involved with politics. My brother was involved in politics. My sister was involved.
You too.
I had my small level of involvement. But I'll tell you what I'm tired of. Brutally frank, I don't care what has been done before. There are people who say, well, the DLP did this, or the BLP did this, or Tom Adams did this, or didn't do this. Look, that's water under the bridge. We used to call it in the old days spilt milk. That's done. That's over. I don't want to hear any more about that, because this is where we are now. And if we're going to look back, we should look back so we learn what not to do and what worked. And we can build on that.
Now, let me join a simple example of misfocus by this government. The source of cricket development in Barbados was the Barbados Cricket League, what we call the BCL. This government has now employed a couple or 4 people to go around to build community cricket. Community cricket is the BCL's role. I'm telling this government, if it is serious, to put money into the Barbados Cricket League and to support the Barbados Cricket League, the BCL, and whatever efforts it wants to pursue to bring cricket back to the community Otherwise, cricket is going to disappear from Barbados.
But Derek, when we borrowed, how much money it is we borrowed for the World Cup? And were we not told that it was not just for the World Cup, but it was for the development of cricket after the World Cup was finished?
We don't see the evidence of that. I
But
know
no,
that
I'm
the two
not.
no, there are two guys, two gentlemen I know. I hear the names. I won't call the names on the program, who are lost about what to do, but they've been given consultancies to move the process forward. I am giving them the basis of my experience. Cricket in Barbados will only survive if it is brought back to the communities. And the way to bring it back to the community is to tie the schools to the community that they're in at the primary and the secondary level. Tie cricket, football, volleyball to the schools in the community. The schools have a structure that is formal and tie the school to the community. Spartan doesn't have a school. That's why it has disappeared. Empire is struggling because there's no foundation for it. And the only way they can survive is that they get a school and tie their future onto the school or schools in the communities because they have a structure. And if the community, if the cricket clubs or football clubs work with the schools, they can build a nexus that can build a common purpose of building development based on people's and particularly youth development. I am tired I've been making that case since 2010 that our development rests on the connection between our schools and our communities. And the government of Barbados needs to move quickly to connect the communities to the schools. And it will help with the drugs, it will help with all those things. Look, the PTAs in Barbados, after the third or fourth meeting, the parent teachers associations in Barbados suffer from attendance. And they suffer because there's no connection between what the PTA should do in relation to the schools and the communities. One of the other things is that a lot of the PTAs are made up of people who do not live in the immediate communities. And while that is a challenge, those who live in the immediate community need to grapple and take the initiative and connect the school with the immediate community in which they're involved. But Queen's College is a big, rich community, but the concentration is still on who rates school at Queen's College rather than where the school is located. The school is located in a vibrant community. And Queen's College need to connect with the people who live in that district and build a relationship. When I went to foundation school, my connection was with Scarborough, Gold Hill. I didn't have no other connection. Those boys came down when we played football. They hailed for us. The Common Berry boys would tell that water for the community made the football team strong. They move away from that. We got to get back to that. We have to. Because they will build the cricket institutions, they will build the football institutions, they will build the volleyball institutions. The people who run school, they live all over the world. And they can connect to the communities that we need to revive and to sustain. So Lord, I beg you. That's my blood. And that's what I really believe. Strongly.
Dr. Alleyne, there's a question in the chat there. I don't know if you can see the questions when I put them up on your device, but Nigel Newton is asking, can we build communities and a nation without a national vision? If not, where's our vision? Do we have the integrity and consciousness for such a vision? Can we build a community without a national vision?
No, the truth is that communities respond to their environment. And the environment must be created at the national level. Community, if you create a community that is disparate and all of those things, then that's where you get. But if you create an environment for communities to respond to the issues first before you intervene or interfere, then you're building a national consensus. So it's not that the national level enforces it. It creates the environment for
Yes.
communities to respond to their challenges and then pull on the national resources to deal with their problems.
But
The focus don't has been wrong. The government has been imposing its will on communities. And therefore people are then reducing their response to who individually will benefit. And that's the challenge.
Well, you know, I've always had the thought and the idea, and Dr. Annie, you've been at this a lot longer than I have, and involved very actively, certainly more than myself. But I've always seen government as a facilitator rather than
Right.
a doer. You know, it
Right.
seems that in Barbados we have a mentality that government is supposed to do everything. You know, I see people, for example, with a grass piece next to their house or in their community run into ruins. And I've often wondered, you know, why are people sitting waiting for the government to come and clean it up? You know, rats are breeding in it and all these kinds of things. Why don't they just get together with a couple of lawnmowers, a couple of weed whackers, and you know, why are they waiting for government to put down like a play park for the children? You know, to me, these are things that government can facilitate. So if a community group approaches government to put up a play park, certainly government can facilitate it by maybe offering duty-free concession or you know something of that nature or other
The-
aspects.
Now, let me tell you something. I was part of the 1980s change shift in focus from what community development was. We used to have, I'm a Deacons man. I was the volleyball president, secretary, and Deacons for years. And I see the government change the focus from community activity and community responses to the government deciding this is what can happen. So we were going to have a little community fair. And the community development department had, at my time when I was an officer there, 20 pieces of stages. The government at that time decided that you have to pay to get stages. And what community development used to do is to provide the stage pieces for communities to have activities to get the community active. From the time they introduced a payment for the rental and the transportation of stages, all of the community development actions finished, disappeared. And the professional entertainers and those people who make money out of community activities evolve. And the community, individual and community spirit disappeared. And it has not ever been given an environment for it to return. So everything you need to do in a community to keep it living, there's a cost to it.
Mhm.
There's a cost to it. And the government is to facilitate an environment where individuals and groups in the community can build community action, community responses without burdens to them. So the infrastructure is what the government is to provide. They ain't got to provide the money, provide the infrastructure. If a community wants to have, if a community there, provide the stages, provide the things. Now, the government not only provides the stages, they bring in the entertainers. And what we really want is the community to provide those entertainers, the community to provide those dancers, the community to provide those helpers. This government brings in a package and throws it on the community. So the community cannot live, it cannot breathe, and therefore it dies. And the government then becomes the person who is facilitating its life. And
Mhm.
that's why it's dying. And
N- I, I want,
when the government can't provide the life, communities in Barbados will continue to die. And that's
mhm.
what the problem is in Barbados.
I want to respond to Imperator here. He says community development should be done by the families in the community, blaming any government for we reared youth as being disingenuous. But we are blaming the government, Imperator, for the lack of facilitating and bringing the leadership that would provide the community with the type of resources that the community could actually do its job. When I think about the amount of money, Derek, that we borrowed for World Cup 2024, and and I think, and I know I saw someone make a comment, everybody doesn't play cricket or want to play cricket. I agree, some may want to play football. They talked about martial arts. There may be people who want to play road tennis. There will be people who want to play what you call this, a basketball and volleyball and so on. And I've seen a couple of what you call them, courts around the island, and I don't know what has who sponsors the lighting and so on for them, but if this can be facilitated, because the government has the money, Derek, at the moment. While we may
But,
say,
brother,
they got the money to help. They have the money to help.
let me give you what this facade is. I am a member of the Deacons Volleyball Club. I've been from the inception in 1971. Still remain a member of the club. I go to the games and part of it. This government put in a token thing, where we put in these tokens. I don't read what it is, no talks, whatever it is.
Yeah,
to turn on turn on the lights. You got to put them in to turn on the lights. And I said, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. I was a community development officer when the first set of lights put up at Deacons. I was a community development officer, and I organized my Deacons Club to put up the lights on its own. We had a fair, we invited people, and we made $1,800, and we installed the lights ourselves. As the office, I went to Mr. Gordon Walters, the light Bashaw was the minister, and they agreed to pay the electricity bill for the lights. What the lights were not for Deacons, the lights was for volleyball in Barbados. Volleyball not for Deacons. It was a facility to allow volleyballers to come someplace after dark and to play volleyball. I give the Light Bashaw credit for it. And they decided to pay for them. Progressive and St. George, St. Jude's, all of those teams came to Deacons to play volleyball. But we put in, the Deacons Club put in the lights ourselves, and the government paid the bill. And then we went to the first championships in Guyana in 1973 and came last. And the next 5 years, we won consecutive Caribbean championships, led by the Deacons Volleyball Club with the presidents and the teams, because there was an environment set for volleyball to develop. And the government supported it. They understood. No, for a club to go and practice, they got to find money to turn on the lights.
What was somebody is posting here? You talk about turning on lights. Somebody here, Cami, said that even erecting a small tent on the beach, you have to pay for that tent, which I know to be a fact. I know that to be a fact. That's madness.
It's foolishness.
No, go ahead.
I get so tired. The government has to accept what is its role. There's some things that it has to do. If we go up to the botanical gardens tomorrow, you gotta find a generator, a lovely facility. Oh Lord, potential immense. But I got a problem with the name. It cannot be a botanical garden because the music and the dance and the noises run where the butterflies and the bees, which got the botanical garden living. That's my problem with it. It's not a botanical garden. Because you can't go infect. You can't go fast in a botanical garden. The bees and the butterflies go run. That's my problem. But the facility is lovely. And I say to them, you need to create the environment for human interaction, not for facts. I should be able to pick up children from the schools around there and go and do what I think it put down clues, and the children go wrong or look wrong with them thinking them Oh Lord, a third. When you put down clues and I think we're gonna find clues. We children go around the
Oh,
whole garden.
yeah. I know what you mean. Treasure hunt.
Huh? Kind of
Treasure, treasure hunt.
so that the children learn the trees in the process. And it's a learning experience. You use what you have for personal and human development. Not this government, they want to keep you sure. It's about fact, 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 fact. The botanical gardens need a section with butterflies and bees and those things in it for children to go and see that you are preparing the butterflies and bees to let them go in the botanical gardens to get the flowers and things. What that word is, propagated. I don't know what the word is. Pollinated. You got to
Pollinated.
develop that so that you let go of those things in there. You want to develop that, you develop a place to fake.
But you know, Derek, one of the things that from a religious standpoint, I've learned down through the years. I've heard the Jesuits address it. Give me a child for the first 7 years, and I'll show you the man. And I remember in primary school, because I'm a believer that if we engage a lot of these activities at a primary school level, where they become inculcated into the behavior of the children at primary school level, all right, even in the training of entrepreneurship and business development and responsibility for community. Do you remember the days, Derek, when we used to do our gardens in the back of the schools, and we used to plant beans and tomatoes and all those kind of things as a primary school child? I remember. I don't even have a glass here, but you remember putting the blotting paper down in the glass. I mean, this might sound like, totally elementary. You remember when we used to put the blotting paper down in the glass and put a seed
Yes.
down in the thing?
A bean or corn, a bean or
Yeah,
corn.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
every morning we used to get up and go to that glass to see what had happened every single morning. And
Look,
I
I say this.
believe that these
I
things,
say
if they're inculcated early, will lead to a change and a shift in the generations to come. We may not be able to save all the ones now, but we sure can save a lot of the ones that are coming.
well, I keep my philosophy drilled on the connection between school and communities in Barbados. If we do not make that a priority, we are going to have problems. And I like to use cricket as the metaphor for community change in Barbados. In 1960, we had 168 BCL teams.
Wow.
168. I think they are 22 or 24 now. And the BCL team, cricket teams were community teams. And every little boy in the village had a connection with that BCL team, whether it was in Boscobel, Deacons, Charnock, Sears Court, Crab Hill. There was a connection to that BCL team. And the BCL team was not connected to the school, but it was connected to the community. And there were Barbadians who never went to school at old secondary school and was able to play first division, but he played BCL. And using that environment, elevating himself and his community to national level. We have lost that BCL connection. And we may never ever get it back to the level it was, but there must be an effort to support the Barbados Cricket League and to put some emphasis and some facilities and some resources into getting BCL back on stream. But pivotal is to connect the primary and secondary schools in our communities into our community development processes. It is not a next week thing. This is a long-term program. But there needs to be a connection between our schools and our
And the
community.
communities.
Yes, we have
Yes.
to. The schools have a structure. There's a discipline at the schools. And we need to connect our communities and our schools in a program for national development. That is my case. That is my
You know,
case.
I'm seeing a number of great comments being made. Here, Christ is saying the interests of people have changed. Let me make a comment to you here, Christ. Um, that very often that has happened because we haven't perpetuated the things that have been successful in developing young people. Look, I grew up with guns, Derek, and I'm not a gangster. I grew up with
Right.
Wire and Lone Ranger, Tonto, and all of them.
Alan
I
Ladd,
grew up with
Alan
them.
Ladd and Glen
Yes,
Force. Yeah, yeah.
yes. I grew
Mm.
up with them. I had 2 6 guns that I had on my side,
Right,
and
correct.
I have not become a gangster,
Yeah.
because and I think that there is a very important role for family and church and
Mm.
community to play in the development of our children toward our youth. If you follow my rationale, a lot of the things that I learned, Derek, began in my home. I learned to respect people in my home. I couldn't drunk back chat or back answer my mother. And
No.
as a result of that, I couldn't back answer a teacher or anybody in authority. Today, I hear children answering their permanent yes, no. I can't answer my mother like that. It was yes, mommy, or no, mommy. Not because they were trying to inculcate, to warp my mind, but because it was the decent address. Good morning, sir. I don't like to hear the good yes, yes, please, and no, please. I like to hear yes, ma'am, yes, sir, or where a person is. We were taught that from primary school. I remember you remember the
What was that about?
domestic
What was
classes
what? No, no. I want you to internalize. What was saying yes sir or yes please about?
when they
It,
were
it,
answering a question. It to me was teaching the degree discipline and respect.
no, right, right. And to accept that the people that are answering you are superior to you. You're
Correct.
asking a question, and therefore you are submitting yourself to the
Yes, sir.
teacher,
Yes, ma'am.
to
Yes.
your teacher. I always tell people I look at those then kung fu pictures as a lesson. We don't care how good the little karate boy is. He gotta submit himself to master.
The
And the
authority.
master is
Yes.
not only an individual, it's a school. They always had schools. If you would go about any of those kung fu, there was always a school, a group of people with disciplines and with programs that you had to come into the school and follow. I went to Wesley Hall, Eagle Hall and Wesley Hall and Foundation School. I was not the best student. I was a trouble student who gave trouble. And it was not because I wanted to, but I was rebellious all my life, and I still remain rebellious. Still remain. I learned to mask it and to use it positively. And we know what my headmaster told me one day? Creative minds always get in trouble. Harvard creative minds always get in trouble. And I felt that I am a creative mind. So I didn't mind getting, as a matter of fact, he encouraged me to get in trouble. So I confused my teachers. I questioned everything they said. I was a rebel because the headmaster told me that creative minds always get in trouble. And because I was always in trouble, I concluded I had a creative mind. Whether it was so or not, that was not issue for me. But I felt that I had to keep challenging the system, asking for change, begging for new directions and so on. And as long as I live, I'm gonna fight that. I'm gonna fight, and I'm saying that currently Barbadians need more people to fight the direction in which we're going. This government provided money for gangsters to stop behaving the way they were behaving. Now that the money stopped paying, the people resort to what they've been doing.
Well, there was a question or there was a comment made a little earlier. I was just trying to find it in terms of, what do you have to offer these guys that would bring them away from that gun activity. My take on
If you
the
if
matter
you
is,
tell them that the answer to the problem is to give them money, and you don't give them any money, what else you gonna tell them? If you tell them the answer to the problem was to providing you with money to stop you from behaving the way you were behaving, no, you can't give them any more money. What do you expect?
you wake up the
You
beast and now you can't control it.
can't control the beast. So and if you go to St. Kitts Nevis, they had a similar program, and you see him response is evident. The same response. The repercussions after that are more devastating than before.
I like Nigel's comment. I like Nigel's comment here. I'm not laughing because of it, because boy, I tell you, I spent a few years commuting between here and Cayman Islands, and I have made the comment over and over, Derek, that
Mm.
Barbados needs to have some independent candidates in Barbados. I appreciate all that the parties have done, both parties have done, to build Barbados to what it is today. I would never say that neither one did nothing. There are people who will say that disingenuously. That is not true. It is not acceptable. Both parties did a lot to bring Barbados to where it is today. Both parties also contributed to where it is today in the negative light. But
Yes, yes.
I really believe that the time has come, Derek, where we have
Mhm.
to look not just for lawyers to sit in parliament, but for people of integrity, people who have a concern for the country. I have a concern for the country. I am not interested. One of the things I respect. Um, I don't know how much you follow American politics. I follow it a bit because what I have been finding is that a lot of what happens in the global environment makes its way here. And I think it's the gentleman Honan, or whatever his name, the guy that they put to be responsible for the border.
Mhm.
Uh, his statement was that he is prepared to protect the United States border and he don't need a salary.
Mhm.
He
Mhm.
has such a commitment to his country. And I wonder sometimes if we understand the words of our national anthem and the words of our national pledge.
But Doc, let me just give you my personal experience. I ran in
Sure.
1994, 99. I ran in two elections,
I remember that.
right? And a very good friend of mine, an outstanding Barbadian and West Indian cricketer, he told me, you shouldn't get involved in politics. Politics is not for people like you. Politics does not suit you. And I said, but so and so, why not? It's not for you. I said, no, no. If I don't get people like me don't get in, it will be left to people who are going to use the system for their own interests. I telling you, I went into politics in 1994. I lost by 160 or 70 votes and so on. And the truth is, I never wanted to run because I had taken the words of my friend as something that I should listen to because he and I remain very close then and now. I lost in 19 by 170 or whatever it was. And I have recognized that Barbadians want people in politics who can be manipulated and who don't believe in nothing. And I don't shun away from it. I say that often. When you believe in something, you got commitment about what life is and what God is about, what progress is about, what development is about. People don't want to hear that. People want to hear other things. People want to hear what you could give me, or you could help me. Um, I mean, I sorry to say that, but that's what I have come to accept.
Mhm.
And I often tell um, my current leader now, Ralph, you are of a good heart, good commitment. But we gotta work hard to get Barbados to change the philosophy of what politicians are about. If we don't change that, we can be fighting. So I hear your argument. about independence. But independent people in Barbados in that environment will not make it.
No,
They can
I
only make it.
understand.
They can only make it if you change the culture of what a politician is
That's
about.
correct. Correct.
Right.
Correct. Correct. You're absolutely correct. And
Yeah.
let me say a couple of things here too. Derek, I remember during my tenure at the People's Cathedral, um, we had a lot of young people that were loitering around, from the Pine and all around the place. And
Mm,
one day, Dr. Williams made a decision instead of using the car park on a Friday evenings out front to park the cars, to put up net,
mm,
a
mm.
volleyball net. And I'll tell you something. If you saw the number of young people that turned up in the yard of that church to play a volleyball, all right? And
Mhm.
what happened, and I want you to listen carefully to this. When, of course, you come down to the evening, we had some lights and whatnot outside, and the play volleyball till they could not play volleyball anymore. And then our service began at 7 o'clock. And you know what began to happen, Derek? Those young people went from playing on the volleyball court to sitting in the back of the church. They would come in and sit in the very, very, very back of the church, because all the friends that obviously from the church themselves would go in the back there, because they be smelly and sweaty and all that. They went to the back.
Mhm.
And you know what happened over time, Derek?
To
I
join.
watched, because I was on the platform. I watched those young people move from the back to a little further up, a little
Mm.
further up, third way up, halfway up, two-thirds way up, until eventually they got right up to the front at the altar. And a lot of those young people joined the choir, the band, and got active in the church, and are holding down some good jobs today.
Look, Freddie, I have been consistent with this argument that our community centers lack attraction. You want things to bring people into the community centers and keep them there. Right now, our community centers still reflect the 1960s and 70s dominoes, and they don't
Yes,
even
I'm
play
always
that.
thinking about that,
They-
about
they-
things changing. Yes. Uh-huh.
yeah. So you need to create whatever young people are attracted to, get them in the community centers and get them in there, and
Hmm.
you can then develop the same thing your church did or the churches did.
But you
Get
could,
it
but you could,
connected to the other things.
but
But
you could set
we
up Derek, of young people are into video games. You could set up a video game competition in the community center with a number of screens where people play against one another. All that kind of stuff is potentially there. But let me say something to you. Yesterday, what was today? Today is Monday. I think it was yesterday or Saturday over the weekend. Um, I was at the urgent care. I had to take my wife to the urgent care, and there were some young men sitting inside the urgent care, Derek. And I began to have a conversation with them. Three young men and a young lady. I discovered the young lady was an accountant. What named the company she is at? And the three young men. One of those young men he had started a chef business, cooking. All right. The other fella driving a truck, what's his interest? He wants to get his own truck. He drives for a company. And the other fella, I think he was also driving a truck as well. And I began to talk with them about what they wanted to do for their lives for the future. And every single one of them, Derek, wanted to get into their business, wanted to get into business of their own. They had different skills and abilities. And I am just wondering, if it wouldn't be of value to engage. We have these constituency meetings for the parties, and I really I don't know if that is working out to be as valuable as it ought to be, or if we shouldn't just have constituency meetings for the constituencies where both parties turn up and have a discussion with the people in the community to see what would be in the best interest of the community, what is lacking. Up to today, I read somewhere where there is a place in St. George where they have to go out and get water from somewhere else. This is 2025, Derek.
Look. I have another. I was supposed to be leaving at 8. and I
Yeah,
am not past my time.
ask your
But
time, and
yeah,
my next guest is there waiting. So
right. So
let
I
me
just
let you
make
wrap up.
a couple of comments. Is that community development is not a singular process, but it involves interaction between all people within and even outside the community. Our problem in Barbados is that we have not recognized that stakeholders in a community must be engaged, and the environment got to be created for them to be engaged
Hmm.
to make our communities live.
Yes.
Problems in Barbados, in my view, are prevalent because our communities are not engaged, are not engaging, are not active, are not responding to their own needs. They're sitting down and waiting on government because there's a message from the government. We will do this and we will do that. We have to change that mindset, and we can only change that by connecting communities to institutions. We need to resource community development department. We have to resource the youth development department, the welfare department. All those institutions need to be resourced.
Set.
So
Yeah, yeah.
collectively they can create an environment where people and communities can respond to their challenges with their support, not waiting to depend on them. It is not going to happen. And now you got to get a little political now when Marley is prime minister. Marley is the savior and the God for every ill in Barbados, and she feels that she has a responsibility to handle things and to decide who live and who does not live. I'm sorry I had to say that. Thank you for having me. I got
Well,
to go to that.
Derek, I
Yeah.
know you have to go, and I want you to consider being back with us as we can. Cause I see this as an ongoing discussion. I really do. And if you're able to, I know that the loyal opposition would love to have you back on Wednesday if you can. If you can't, we would understand. But I want to thank you for coming and offering your suggestions and your expertise and knowledge, not from a political standpoint, but from a Barbadian concerns standpoint. And I thank you and appreciate you for doing that, sir. Thank
Thank
you.
you. I will
And
make an
I,
effort to come Wednesday. I will see what my
your
diary
schedule
says,
will.
and I will try and come.
Thank you very much, sir. God bless, and thank you so much for being here tonight.
Okay, man. No problem.
Take
Yeah.
care. God bless. Well, folk, I want to get straight into our next guest right away because I know, Omar, you have a lot to share. Welcome to the Marcy Week show. I'm not even going to give any lead in. I'm just going to open the gate, the gate and let you go. Uh, but welcome to the show, Umar. I know there's a lot you have to share concerning the global environment and how that will impact us in the region and by extension in our individual countries. So welcome, Umar. You've heard our discussions in terms of the gang violence, and I know
Yeah.
you have a lot of it too in Trinidad, and maybe you can bring a global perspective to these kind of things. So welcome, sir.
Well, thanks for having me again. Good night to each and every one of your listeners and those who are viewing on the World Wide Web. Welcome to the Master Weeks program. And, every Monday night I've committed myself to be here with you all, trying to share some perspectives on what is happening globally within our region and how we should, be very, very vigilant in terms of what is happening around us. And if you look deep enough and, you explore what is happening around you, you are going to be able to link these events with global situations and scenarios. Um, Now, a couple of days ago, I would have, and there's something I was working on for quite some time. I would have released an op-ed, um, regarding a number of events that has taken place here in Trinidad and Tobago linked
All right, we seem to just have a little internet issue there with him. Normally he bounces right back in. So we're going to give him that minute to do so. But I want to say how pleased I am to have had uh, Mr. Dr. Alleyne in. And we need to have these type of discussions, and we would welcome members of the government who would like to come in and have these kind of discussions. I would be happy to host or co-host with Marcia or whoever a show that would have Mr. Thorne and other members of the government and so on to have a discussion, because my thing right now is based on what's happening in the country. I would pull the defense force, the task force, and the police to go after these gangs and shut them down, because it requires a immediate response. It requires immediate action. It requires persons. Um, wow, it requires persons to to um, to act now, to deal with these issues and to deal with these matters. And then we can look, address it now, shut it down now, control it now, root it out now, and then we can start to work. And any Ministry of Education that is going to be discussing the development of education at the exclusion of some of the things that are facing our young people today, that we can begin to inculcate from a very, very early age. Whereas before, we may not have necessarily thought to do so, but now we have to consider doing that. And I really want to encourage those persons who may be giving consideration um, to the development of education in Barbados to look at implementing or reintroducing some of these things that we used to do in primary school. I learned a lot of my painting in primary school. I don't know how many of you all used to remember cutting up the potatoes, putting them in the paint, and making these things, little things like that we did not realize then how important it would be in our lives now. And if we begin to teach our children from a very early age, a very early primary school age, matters to do with politics, matters to do with business entrepreneurship, matters to do with business development, and, elementary, primary things that they could begin, and not just continue the indoctrination, so to speak, of 2 plus 2 equals 4, 2 by 2 is 4, or 3 threes is 9. That's important, yes, absolutely. But maybe we need to also start showing them how to develop in the terms of the accounts, how to keep, how many, and pardon the expression, and please forgive me, how many black business people, small black business people, don't even have a book that they keep how much money they make a day, income and expenditure, how much they're spending on gasoline or diesel or on lunch or anything of that sort. They have no idea what to do. And these are things, I guess, in the context of a community development as well, for those who have passed primary and secondary school and have not gone on to university but are doing business. These are areas, I believe, that it could well be of value to bring retired bankers and accountants and so on, who would be willing to give of their time in a community environment to be able to help people develop a business plan, help them to develop a basic accounting system that would show them how to operate a business. I think these are things that can be considered. So there's a whole cadre of things that can be brought to bear on the context of our primary school development. And I think we need to move forward past just the arithmetic and English language and literature and so on, all of which I felt are very important. The English language, the English literature, the reading of the books taught me a lot. I learned a lot of my words in reading books. And one of my favorites, believe it or not, was Animal Farm. And I know you all would know what that was all about. I came up in school where we had religious education in the classroom. And if there are people who don't want to be involved in religious education, I get it. Well, then you exempt yourself from that, or you have optional classes that they can take in other things. I don't have a problem with that, because you can't force religious dogma on people. I get it. I get it. But all I'm saying is, Emerson, I see that art and craft, making, let me put it up there, making craft out of clothespins and ice cream lolly sticks and selling, making table mats out of beads and such. And there, if you walk the beach, you will see a lot of that type of work, being done by people on the beach, selling to the tourists and so on. And so we can help people bring these skills to bear. And it is only when we sit together like this and we start to talk about things like this, get us in a room and let us brainstorm. The government can do this. I'm not just talking about the highfalutin members of the community only. I am talking about getting some people, business people, who may not have a big fancy car and fancy business and all, but they're successful at what they're doing. Getting us in a room together with the minister of this or the minister of the next, or whatever it is that you want to have, and let's have a brainstorm as to what will help with the development excuse me, development in the context of Barbados. And I think this is very important. Christ, I see that you have made a mention here of mental health. Absolutely. And again, one of family planning. All of these are things that there's no reason why we can't start introducing certain elements. And I wanted to be very careful. Certain elements, even at primary school level. Look, the LGBTQ community want to introduce all of this stuff at, at, we want to introduce all of this stuff at primary level, bringing in drag queens and all that kind of thing to talk to our children. So why can't we equally do things that we can address our children at early stages, and be able to help to change the culture, the thinking of our communities by dealing with the children. I see Umar is back. Let me bring you back in, Umar. I know you had some challenges there with your Wi-Fi or internet.
Yeah,
Just
it's
go right ahead
surprising.
from
It's
where.
surprising as I started. It just started. Just in
I
that.
hope they're not interfering. I hope they're
Yeah,
not interfering as they
I hope
interfere
so
with the
myself.
weather.
Right. So as I was saying,
Yes.
right. So there was a number of events that took place here in Trinidad and Tobago, and
Yes.
I'm wondering if similar events were not taking place or is not taking place in other parts of the Caribbean region. And those of you who are in Barbados, Guyana, St. Vincent, the Grenadines, Jamaica, and these other islands, let us know if you observe these occurrences in the schools, within the schooling program, and so on, so that we will be able to better, develop ideas on how it is to counteract what is taking place around our children. So I entitled this op-ed "The Malevolence of the Minister of Education: A Callous Betrayal of Our Children." And the Ministry of Education is the bedrock of a nation's future, tasked with nurturing the minds and morals of its youth. However, under the stewardship of Dr. Nylan Gaspidoli, that's our education minister, we witness a disturbing departure from these sacred responsibilities. Her actions, initiatives, and associations paint a sinister picture of a leader steering the youth of Trinidad and Tobago down a dark, unholy path. Now, brothers and sisters, please pay attention. because this is very important. And as we've seen in the past, every item that we would have addressed in Barbados, similar situations are taking place in Trinidad and other islands as well.
Seems that we've lost him again. There's a lot of interference going
And in
on.
some,
Oh, could you, Umar? Can you repeat
yeah,
what you were saying because we lost you for a few
yeah,
moments?
right. So in some islands, some of these events may perhaps be seen, going at a rapid pace, as in Trinidad and Tobago and perhaps in Barbados. But in the other islands, it's probably taken over, a slow path, and there's a reason for it. All right. For those of you who are familiar with the school friendly, the school friendly, the friendly school initiative, that's the UNICEF manual for rolling out the comprehensive sexuality education in the schools and so on. You would notice in chapter 9 of that document, it indicates there are two methods by which they roll out these initiatives, and they've coined the term Big Bang, which is a quicker pace in which these events are rolled out, and then there's the normal rollout, which is a slower process because of the culture of the people within that jurisdiction, or as the case may be. So those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, go on to Google and Google the child-friendly initiative, child-friendly schools initiative by UNICEF, and you will understand exactly what I'm talking about. And this has been rolled out in all of the Caribbean islands. If you're interested, you can also contact us
Yeah, seems to be having some challenges there in terms of his connection. Um, what he's speaking to in terms of that global agenda, and I'm aware of it. I'm familiar with it. Sorry, Umar, repeat what you said because again we lost you for a few minutes there.
Yeah, right. So as I was saying, you could get in contact with us, the First Wave Movement. Naim, I think he's on, so he'll be able to post our contact information there. You can simply go on the World Wide Web on all those different platforms, and you can readily get our contact information from all of our postings and what it is we put out. All right, so continuing here with this document. So in September of 2024, we had an event called the N22YPAN event, which was an event, specifically to celebrate our PAN. All right, as you know, Trinidad and Tobago, that's our national instrument, and that's our national instrument. Yeah.
Okay, we've lost him for another moment there. Um, he's talking about the steel pan. I don't know how many of you all were privileged. I had the opportunity on one occasion I had the opportunity on one occasion to go up in what do you call that area above Port of Spain again, Umar?
Prince Park Savannah.
Up above,
Prince
really
Park
close,
Savannah.
always going up in there.
Oh, Lavantil.
Laventel.
Yeah.
There used to be a steel pan group from up in there. You can remember the name?
The
Oh gosh, I can't remember. I used to go up
Renegades.
there.
Renegades.
I think it was the Renegades. Yes.
Uh-huh.
But
Right.
but go ahead. Yeah, your steel pan. You were talking
Yes.
about
So it was specifically designed to celebrate Pan, which is our national instrument and so on.
that.
And
Yes.
I mean, we would agree with something like that, of course. Educate the youths, give them a bit of knowledge as regards to the Pan and why it is necessary for us to preserve those important information and what have you and so on. We need the youth to carry on that legacy here in Trinidad and Tobago. All right, so that event was started. It was held at the D Truck in Queens Park, Savannah, but it was an abject failure in upholding the moral, cultural, and educational standards expected for our nation's youth. What should have been a celebration of young talent in steel pan and nation building was derailed by the Ministry of Education's approval for Aaron Duncan's performance of Travel with Zoe single Zest freestyle. Now, those of you who are well familiar with the song, um, it's steeped in lyrics glorifying fornication with multiple partners, materialism, and reckless sexual behavior. It symbolizes a disturbing cultural shift that undermines the sanctity of family, morality, and the foundation of our society.
Pardon
Yeah,
me interrupting you, Umar, but that's almost beginning to sound like Barbados because everything these days now is a fat.
yeah.
Everything.
Well, he actually turned the event into a carnival-like atmosphere. A lot of young girls in school uniform were seen jumping and dancing and gyrating to this tune and singing the words of this song as if it was an anthem. All right, some of these children don't even know the work that well, you know, and it was very, very disheartening to say the least. And this
We're
is
seeing the
just
same thing here.
this is just a sad indication of where we're heading. These youths are our future. These youths are the ones that we are going to trust the our leadership, carrying forward our great nations within the Caribbean region, and developing a society that that reflects the history, the rich history of our Caribbean countries, our Caribbean islands. So the Ministry of Education has a role in promoting this type of behavior and this type of recklessness. I mean, how could the ministry tasked with shaping young minds,
Hmm.
right, approve entertainment so blatantly contrary to our moral and spiritual values, right? The decision to permit this performance speaks to a broader issue. The Ministry of Education's alignment with the foreign influenced diversity, equity, and inclusion, the DEI agenda. This agenda, under the guise of progress, prioritizes promoting toxic ideologies and behavior over instilling the values of discipline, respect, and responsibility in our youth. Now, if you all would have saw the videos that were circulating regarding that event and the behavior of those young children, you would have never thought in your wildest dreams this was an event specifically to celebrate Pan. It had nothing to do with Pan, nothing at all. And Aaron Duncan, a young, budding entertainer in Trinidad and Tobago, someone who I began to have some respect for, I've lost all my respect for him. In his comments, when people were commenting on that particular song that he performed and the way he engaged the students, one of his comments was, "What you going to do about it? Call the FBI?"
But they don't care. They don't
They don't
care.
care.
They don't have a national interest. They don't
No,
have.
they don't
They
care.
don't have a interest in the development of the future of the country. They don't. They're not interested. They're
Yeah,
just interested in glorifying sexuality and immorality and cussing you out.
And
That's
this
why
is
the
this
things
is
are
just the whole
discharged.
point about this thing. Yeah, you know, the first wave movement started off um, with 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 one focus in mind, and that focus was protecting our children. And we are still here today. Okay, all the issues that we talk about, all the the events that we speak about, and the all the discussions that we have, no matter what it is, it comes down to our youth. The reason why we go to work, we work because we want to take care of our children. We want a better life for them. The reason why we protest about bad roads and bad infrastructure and bad governance and so on, it comes down to our youth. These policies are what is going to shape the minds of our youth, the development of our youth, and the infrastructure and the spaces within our youths, within which our youth operate. Our communities in Trinidad and Tobago, you can't even drive 1 mile and there's a bar selling alcohol, offering alcohol and cigarettes to the young people. You can't. I was in Tobago. I lived in Tobago for some time, and I did an experiment. For those of you who have ever went to Tobago, that road called the Strawberry.
Due to a technical fault, or they used to have an image up on the television screen. The film has slipped off his sprocket. I think the film was on a banana peel. So, so Omar is having some challenges there. But I want to look at some of the comments that you're making while we wait for Dr. Umar to come back. A society where children, Easy D says, yep, a society where children learn about sex first. This will create a specific mindset. That is a good analysis, destroying the very fabric of society, which is exactly the downfall. I don't know how many of you all realize it. Look back in history. Look at the downfall of the Roman Empire. Go back and look at the foundation of what caused the downfall of the Roman Empire, and you might be amazed at what you discover um, in terms in terms of. Thank you so very much. I wish I could pull it up. Would have to try and see if I can pull it up. Umar, I'm going to try to see because I see a video link on BitChute. I'm going to see if I can pull up that show that you were talking about. Um, while you speak, if I can get it up, I will let you know while you speak. You can go ahead, Umar. We are not seeing you, but I'm sure we can hear you.
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Yeah, if putting on the camera is creating a problem, you could leave the camera off and just go right ahead and speak.
All right, so let me all right.
Okay,
Okay.
you were switching devices, I take it.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Right. So let me see how this is going to work. Are you hearing me clearly?
Yeah, we're hearing you.
Right. Good. Right. So you said you were going to pull it up on BitChute, the
Yeah,
video.
I'm going to see if I can get it up on BitChute. And if I can,
So
I will let you know.
so in you're looking for that. So in continuing, so this is basically what our youth are being exposed to. Compliments of the Ministry of Education. All right. Um, and this event or this type of entertainment was repeated at other like and similar events that took place with the nod of the Ministry of Education, because we had to go to a particular school in North Trinidad to investigate a video that was circulating where Aaron Duncan was performing the same song, and there were a number of students in uniform in the audience.
I have it. Would you like? It's just a 59-second clip, but would you like me to play that clip?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, put your hands together, make some noise for Aaron. Aaron.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah. I'm just pulling up the lyrics. I can read it out for those who have never heard the song. So you all will get an
Understanding of it. I just have about 5 minutes left, Omar, before I bring on my next guest. We've actually gone into her time, but I wanted to give you the time back that I went into your end. But again, but
let me just
we're still going to have an ongoing conversation. Let me tell you, there's just so much to unpack. So much to unpack.
Well, there's another event I just want to quickly touch on. We had the PNM. That's the youth league, the PNM's National Youth League. They had an event called Ignite Your Dreams, right? And what the Ministry of Education, the Minister of Education did, she posted a short clip of that event on her TikTok page, and she renamed the event Ignite the Night. All right, so it was changed from Ignite Your Dreams to Ignite the Night, and there were other captions that she used and so on and so forth. But what was very disturbing was the song that she chose to play as the background music for that video, and it's the song by Sam Smith and Kim Petra, Unholy. Right now, this song, again, it's an affront to adultery, sexual deviance, pedophilia, satanic imagery, and all these things. And one would look at this, and knowing it's coming from the Minister of Education, would ask the question, why did you choose this song as the background song for this particular video? And it continuously bugs the mind as to where and which the direction the Minister of Education is heading. We've had in the past where she would have comfortably stood next to a transgender, all dressed up in a dress and high heels and all the colors of the LGBTQ movement, and accepting a mural that resembles something out of a dark, evil, movie, if you would want to put it that way. The imagery on this mural: children stifling, wearing masks, On one particular mask, it was written, "Death." This is on the mural, and this was actually donated to the Ministry of Education, and she gladly and comfortably accepted this, you know, showcasing this man dressed as a woman. So the question is, when did the Ministry of Education had that conversation with parents? That it's okay to accept this type of ideology and this type of perversion, right, in our society. We have never had that conversation. We heard something about the Boggle Law, removing the Boggle Law from our books, etc., etc. But there was no policy that indicated that the Ministry of Education or the government of Trinidad and Tobago is going to start accepting this type of perversion and this type of lifestyle in our country. Are we going to hear next that, you know, a man and a man could get married in Trinidad and Tobago, and there are priests and pundits and imams that's lining up to do these marriages? Because some religious leader has to do the marriage.
Well, I can tell you. Well, I don't know what your situation is in Trinidad, but here in Barbados, a magistrate can do marriages in the court. But I can tell you, I'm a marriage officer and I marry none of them. I'll hand over the marriage certificates and everything back to the government. I'm prepared to do that, but I certainly won't be doing it. But Umar, we have to shift gears a bit. I'm so sorry we have to do it, but that we have you coming in on Mondays, I'm going to ask that we pick up this discussion further on. You might find yourself, if you're available, you know, on a Wednesday, you're always welcome as long as you're available. Let me put it that way. As long as you're available, let me know. And if you want to come in on any of the shows, I do host the Wednesday night show for until Marcia gets back. I think this Wednesday night we're trying to look at our Republican Constitution. But I want you to know, sir, that in terms of what's happening in Trinidad, and we can see a reflection here in Barbados as well, and also what's happening globally and that impact. I think it's really important for people to understand that a lot of what is happening in the Caribbean, a lot of what's happening in our countries, does not have its root within our countries. And our leaders are being pressed to implement these things if they want the financing. You know, so I really want to thank you for you certainly are free to stay on the show. You know, free to make your comments as long as Rose allows us. As long as Rose allows us. But thank you so very much. But like I said, you can feel free to stay right in. Kimar is going to be coming on a little later as well, if we can get that link up with him as well. Well, good evening, Rose. Good to have you in. My apologies for cutting into your segment as much as I have. I wanted to get back, Omar, because I cut into his segment with Dr. Alleyne. And I think it's only fair that I allowed him to get a little bit of time back. And I've cut into Kimar's, and I've already messaged him and asked him give me a few more minutes to you. But welcome to the show this evening, Madam Rose. I know the loyal opposition is very happy to see your face and to hear from you this evening. You have to on. Let me. You see. You need to unmute. Not yet. There we go. There you go. Welcome,
Good
welcome,
evening,
welcome. Good
Reverend
evening.
Ferdy. Good evening to our supporter and
Our CARICOM, the other member of the
yes,
CARICOM opposition.
yes, and Brother Umar. Thank you again, and for keeping us on our toes in terms of what's happening in Trinidad, what's happening regionally, what's happening globally. Thank you again. A pleasure to be with you and to listen to you. So I don't mind, Reverend Ferdy, Pastor Ferdy, that you shared my time with Brother Umar. Neither I was listening, as I told you, I had to take our house guest back to the airport, but I was listening on my cell phone, and it was so good to hear Dr. Derek, Alleyne, sharing always he has always been committed to youth and community development, and it's really good to hear him share. I look forward to more of that. And I take this time now to say good evening to the loyal sons and daughters all, firm craftsmen and women of her faith. And what a pleasure to be here this evening again with you, Pastor Ferdy. As I told you in our exchanges in preparation for this evening, I would like to continue on regathering and make some observations and some things that concern me about this, as I say on Facebook, is being described as a 52 week long activity in the island is being promoted widely here on Facebook. Regathering Barbados is described as a 52-week festival for Barbadians on island, those living abroad, visitors, and all who love Barbados to celebrate the island in 2025 and invest in its future. I did not listen to the Prime Minister's, I'm tired, Pastor Ferdy, listening to the Prime Minister. So I did not listen to her broadcast. But again, the rhetoric, I read it then as reported in the print media, and it's the rhetoric as usual, the narrative. And I noticed that even public servant, for example, the deputy PS in the Ministry of Culture at the launch has the rhetoric down pat. So let's look at how they have allocated the events to the parishes. We know for January, it is faith, family, achievement. I can't remember what I stands for. I told you all last Monday. And H, heritage, faith, the acronym. St. Peter is heritage. Don't we have heritage throughout the island? March, St. Thomas is nature. April, St. Joseph is adventure. May, St. John is community. Isn't community something? If you listen to Dr. Alleyne, he talked about the community spirit throughout the island and how it is being, the shift is being made in terms of lack of support for community development and youth development. June is St. George, the land. I hope they're not coming for mine. What are they doing for the land? Have they not been given land, not only in St. George, but all over Barbados, taking it out, arable land out of production for food and building hope houses that can't be finished? So what about land in St. George? And we're hearing that there's a part in St. George that for years, the households have not been getting water delivered to them. July is St. Philip, sugar. And I asked that question. Sugar, we scarcely have sugar cane fields in St. Philip. We don't have a factory. Carrington's factory is out of commission. It is a point where the trailers and tractors with the sugar would meet and then go down to Lancaster, Hammonds, our sole sugar factory. But they're saying sugar. What about sugar? The Folly, I've studied this. The Folly pastor Ferdinand for this regathering. Then St. Andrew, the arts. Good grief, fits the roads in St. Andrew. What arts in St. Andrew? And you remember, Pastor Ferdy, I did a session where we looked at St. Andrew as beautiful and unspoiled, but you can't get into St. Andrew. All roads leading in are bad or inaccessible. But they are talking about the arts in St. Andrew. Pastor Ferdy, answer me. Are we stupid? Why are they foisting these kind of attachments or events on us? September, St. James is cricket. October,
I can tell you why. I
Yes,
can tell you why. You know why they're doing it? Because they want to distract us from all the legislation they want to pass, but don't want us to know. Just like they wanted to pass the cybercrime bill. So they're doing all these events, keep the people busy, so you can't see the globalist agenda that Umar would have been talking about and will continue to talk about being implemented through the legislative aspect of Parliament and Senate. I am aware of that. That's why they're doing it.
Just like how on Sunday evening, not yesterday, Sunday the 5th, how they, as the Cockneys will say, how they snuck in the town hall meeting at Frank Cullimer Hall.
Thank you.
The report of the constitutional
Thank
report.
you. It wasn't that the same time they were. Wasn't that the same time they were launching the Regathering?
Yes.
Thank you.
The motorcade that started from NCF headquarters.
All right.
With all the comedian MCs, etc. I don't have to be getting a few pennies out of it. Fine. And they went down to St. Lucie, and then they went to Christchurch. So here I'm coming to Christchurch. Christchurch is tagged with the sea. The sea. And I'm asking if the monies from the $5 million, I am in pursuit of getting a breakdown of that money and the evidence of how that money has been spent. And I have a question here. Are they going to give them more money to entertain the sea? I know the sea.
Not yet. They ain't gonna give them the money. Hold on. They ain't gonna give them the money yet. They can give them money a little later on in the year when elections are called.
You know something that I know, because here on my paper, I have a question which I'll come to after I have gone through the list, and I'm soon finishing. In November, it is food and fetting.
Mm-hmm.
Tied to St. Michael is food and fetting. So the botanical garden going to get mashed down some more. Food and fetting.
And the bees and the bees and the butterflies. And the bees and the butterflies, according to Dr. Alleyne, ain't going to be a part of it. They're going to get chased out.
And nothing about independence for the month of November. And December now is tagged all parishes, because that's the 12th month, friends and family. What folly? Now they say, I'm not criticizing for the sake of criticizing, But these, I know what to call them, these assignments, it's an insult to the people of Barbados and the constituents and residents of these various parishes. Now, I did tell you that I had house guests for the past 3 weeks. They came in on the 23rd from the UK, Manchester. They left this evening. They're both retired persons, retiring at the highest level in their professions. A couple. She was a regional coordinator for early childhood, pardon me, early childhood education, nurseries, safeguarding the environment in nurseries, and wherever children are gathered, nursery, churches, etc. The husband is a clinical psychologist, and they're both retired. He made his way to the UK from Belize, and he's been there over 50 plus years. He's retired in his 70s, and she is the descendant, direct descendant of a Barbadian who left Barbados on the Windrush, that journey by sea through Guadeloupe to the UK, landing in Manchester. I knew that person, and when we lived and studied in Manchester. Now, the daughter told me, she listens to us, and she told me on Saturday when we took her down to Bathsheba, where her mother was born and grew up, etc., before leaving the UK. And she said, when you go on the show, she's in the air now, she left about 8:39. When you go on the show on Monday night, ask them if this is what they want us to come home to. The bad roads, the poorly lit roads, then the concern about, in this short time, the deaths, especially the 2 gun-related deaths. She asked also about, her concern was the Bridgetown. You know, the death, Bridgetown is, because she's been here several times. Bridgetown, what's happening with Bridgetown? And she even we went to Oystins, and she, besides the food, what is there happening in Oystins? Well, I tell her, we are looking for the $5 million. That's what's happening. And if they were doing anything in Christchurch, I would say looking for the 5 million. That is how that should be tagged. But my question here, I have several questions, Pastor Purdy. How much money is being spent overall and per parish on regathering? There should be an account of the taxpayers' money for regathering. How much has been allocated? Has there been a vote for it? Where is it coming from? And overall, and per parish, who are the persons and committees responsible for coordinating regathering? Who should I go to here in St. George and say, I want to do something with the land. Are you in St. George too, Pastor Ferdy? I wonder if the two of us could have an event for regathering, and who will finance it? Where is the money coming from? And they say that we criticize when we express our concerns, our consternation of the things that worry us. They say that we are critical. So I came with some suggestions. Why is there regathering in 2025? Why couldn't we be mobilizing all like now for a big event in next year, 2026, when we're celebrating our 60th anniversary of independence? But
Because,
I
Rose,
recognize that they want
sorry,
to go
sorry,
on.
Rose, because this next year is not election year. This year is election year. That's
You know
why
something,
they
I keep
can't wait
asking
until
you.
next year.
You know something that I don't know. Anyhow, they say that we criticize. I would like John King, a young man that comes from my own church village, Don Cotsall, not Cotsall, Don Cottageville, when he said that he was retiring from active politics, and when the Prime Minister went up to that school in St. Philip, and there and then announced that Kim McConney, and I'm coming to education another time, with the fact that they are saying now that they're scrapping the colleges of excellence.
Wait.
Uh,
Whoa. You said what? They're scrapping the College of Excellence? Well,
yes,
that
in
was
the paper.
supposed to be her what you would call it? Oh my goodness. Umar, help me here now.
Baby,
Not baby, where you hold it up, that was supposed to be the big
the
thing.
trophy.
Yeah, that was supposed to be the big thing. And they're scrapping it now. They
Well,
have no vision.
they are spuddlers. And with no disrespect to the director of the transformation unit, Dr. Ida Maydeni, they have put her in the firing line to announce that they are not having these colleges or schools of excellence, basically because the people don't want them and there's been a pushback from the people. So we're to be blamed now for a badly conceptualized and idea of these colleges. And you remember I came several times asking about the colleges or schools of excellence. How would they differ? What are they offering? I went to several town hall meetings and spoke about them. We express concern. Now we are being told that, the public didn't want them, so they're not doing it at this time. They basically scrapping it. They put Dr. Denny in the hot seat to speak about it. Where is the Minister of Education on this matter? And where is the Chief Education Officer to speak on a matter so important where they wasted the taxpayers' money to launch and to hold town hall meetings for, amongst other things, that they're going to scrap or they're not going to bring forward at this time?
Well, you see,
So
again, Rose, that you see, that is the difference between leadership. What they should have done first is to consult with people who are experienced in the whole matter of education, period. And with due respect, persons such as yourself, and look at what they want to engage. Let the people in the constituencies know what they want. Instead of that, the make a decision. You know, it reminds me of you trying to fix a problem that you think exists, but the people who you're supposed to be fixing it for know it don't exist. But because you don't talk with the people, you don't know what's going on.
And but they came with it pre-planned, marinated, almost cooked, and just want to serve it on us
Yeah,
half
just for a
raw,
rubber stamp it.
half raw.
If I may
Can't
if I
eat
may
it.
come in here,
Yeah, yes,
And
yes. Hold on, Rose. Hold on, Rose. Omar wants to jump in.
yes, please.
this is nothing new I'm hearing here. It's like you're talking about Trinidad and Tobago in some way. They would have done similar things in Trinidad and Tobago. I heard you talk about the sugarcane factory there. We scrapped ours. We scrapped ours. And it begs the question, why are they scrapping everything that's good in our countries, in our nations, in our islands? You speak about no consultation. There has been absolutely no consultation here in Trinidad and Tobago, the rollout of the
Hmm.
new education policy in schools. All right, they claim that they consulted. They published a list of all the stakeholders that they consulted with, and guess what? Those stakeholders that they consulted with were all part of the ministry.
Of the ministry,
So
yes.
they consulted with their own agencies. You understand? And give themselves a nod. But they did not consult with any external agencies. Our homeschooling association organization here in Trinidad and Tobago was left out. They were never consulted on the rollout of the new policy initiatives in the school, and this dangerous policy called the cultural transformation policy. And so there was nothing that was discussed and consulted with the people. So again, they're all reading from the same playbook. They're rolling out these initiatives on all the different islands at different, I would say, at different points in time. If they get some success in Trinidad and Tobago, well, okay, we can do it in Barbados. All right, and let's that whole system of distraction is very well present here in Trinidad and Tobago as well.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Um,
sir.
we have a number of issues in Trinidad and Tobago that the government implementing this SOE would have done great to have everybody talking about the SOE rather than all these these events that took place in Trinidad that needs discussion, that needs attention. All right, we still have the 280 something $1 million our finance minister cannot even account for. All right, we still have workers lamenting about their salaries, about the increases and negotiations. We still have the closure of companies. They closed Petrotrin. Now they're trying to open it back up. All right, we have the babies who have died in the neonatal ward in Trinidad and Tobago. Nothing is being said about compensating the parents. Violence in schools, bullying in schools. All these things are on the front burner. All these things are on the front burner. But what you have the people talking about now in Trinidad and Tobago, as in Barbados, with all these events that they have planned to distract the people. So everybody's talking about the SOE and the legitimacy of the SOE, what is being achieved by the SOE. They want people to talk about that. But the crimes that they've committed and they're getting away with, they don't want people to talk about that. They don't want people to question them on anything. And they're so arrogant. I don't know what's happening in Barbados, but our ministers are walking past people, walking past the journalists, not answering them, as if they're full bus. You understand? They just, are so arrogant in their behavior. And they are the representative of the people. They are representing the people. And you're telling me that the people are answering a question to account, and you are disregarding the people and laughing at them and making fun of them. Come on.
No, no.
I understand,
You
Rose,
see,
what people are going through and what people are mentioning about. It sickens me here in Trinidad and Tobago, and I could well imagine how you're feeling in Barbados.
well, you
As
see,
if they're
Umar, that's
mashing up
because,
Barbados.
yeah, that's because, Umar, they're only our servants when it comes time for elections and to get your vote. But once they get into government, they become our masters, and the people don't remind them who's employing
Exactly.
who. And this is why, Rose, I have said that in our new republic constitution, there has to be provision for recall. Recall ministers, recall representatives. That I don't know how to get it done. The legal minds will have to do it, will have to tell us. But I believe there needs to be a capacity to recall that when a minister is not performing his duties, the citizens of the country have the power to recall because the prime minister is not going to do it. And when a parliamentarian is not doing his duty, the people of the constituency have the power of recall. Somehow it has to be capable of being done. Proceed, ma'am.
Yes, please. So the aside was that they are scrapping, and I believe this should be the responsibility of the Minister of Education and the Chief Education Officer after ramming it down our throats like as it's given, and that the populace, we don't know what we want. They're the only thinkers, the only innovative thinkers, the only creative thinkers. And there are now, again, as I have read it, they are now blaming us for our non-acceptance of something that we had concerns about and could see that there would be an early demise of it even before it started. But here are some suggestions I have. My question was, why couldn't we have regathering around a significant national event or reason to celebrate? And here I said, organize around events rather than parishes. Because, as you know too, there are persons who have migrated from their small communities, their parishes, and some have migrated, say, from St. Michael to St. Philip to St. George to St. Lucy. Why around parishes? They could have looked at Gospel Fest. Just let me give an example. Gospel Fest has a history of absolute excellent, superb organization. They bring in artists from all over the world who come with their own groups. Couldn't you have given some of those funds to the organizing committee of Gospel Fest? They usually have their events the end of May, June, around Whitsuntide. And use your advertising power to encourage gospel persons to come to Barbados for Gospel Fest. Regathering in Barbados around Gospel Fest. Next, what about a back in time regathering? I know that there are people who and to whom in the diaspora that I send my sister in Delaware, my friend who just left in Manchester. We didn't get her Q in the community, but Q in the community represents that community spirit, music, food, take people back in time, dancing, and up to now, it's a safe environment for regathering. Why couldn't you have a back in time regathering with Q in the Community. Q in the Community is organized by CBC, so it isn't spoiling, cutting your nose to spoil the features, all going back to you at CBC. And there you could have had that food, you could have had music, you could have had spooge, and a safe environment for seniors to attend, a safe environment for persons to participate in. What about school sports? Your sister Frida Nichols has a zone named after her. But they may got in a stadium. So they can't regather at Usain Bolt. But Pastor Ferdy did say that we only criticize. So I given them some ideas. What about regathering around school sports? If you're coming for primary school sports because you say, madam, ain't got no more St. Philip's Girls School, is no St. Philip's Primary, and you're not regathering around primary school sports, I know that secondary school sports would be a puller. It would be we call it a magnet. Because before the stadium became derelict and out of commission, I would go to inter-school sports at the stadium and shout for my St. Michael's school. I have gone to St. Michael's inter-school sports with my tie on, my house pin, and a big blue garbage bag waving for Bordesia. And we had such fun. And the stadium was rampant Usain Bolt. But they may got in the stadium. This government ain't got no vision at all. The mash up, fat, mash down, and now they don't have
the National Stadium up there sitting like a ghost town.
And
That we used. You remember we used to have the cyclists on the velodrome,
yes,
and the athletes running like crazy in the National Stadium.
and now they could have organized around school sports and let people come in. And I am sure that the alumni, the Old Scholars Association would piggyback on having school reunions. So let's gather around school sports. We gathering around school sports. That would have been, you know when school sports time is. We're gathering around sports. They talk, and the list goes on. We're gathering around NIFCA, where the diaspora could be invited to submit entries and participate, and it's open to locals, nationals, and those overseas. And they come in around NIFCA, and we have big independence celebration for the month of November. And I am so aggrieved by this. And not for November, St. Michael Food and Fetting. You know who holds one of the biggest strongholds in St. Michael and who is known for food and fetting and partying. So we don't have anything for independence. You want a suggestion? You could have had regathering around independence, a reenactment of independence at the garrison, have parades in the street. Have NIFCA open to all and sundry to bring their talent. The performing arts, drama, dance, music, expose BCC students. This government has, and the consultant, John King, I'm so disappointed. He said that and John knows how much I care for him and his sister. When I taught at Ebenezer Primary and growing up in the village, with John. And John came to the people and said that he was retiring from active politics, but now he is in the prime minister's office coordinating or having responsibility for regathering and regathering with these follies. And so, why not? We have just made in 2021 added another national hero. She is apparently one of the richest and sought after artists. Well, I would not have been offended if you had a regathering around Rihanna, where all the television crews come in, all the people come in and use that platform to showcase our local talent so that those who are scouting for talent could see some good, raw, and dare I say, better talent than Rihanna and give them that exposure. If the prime minister could make her the national hero, why not ask her to come in, and even if it is a one-night show, let whomever gather around, regathering around one of the biggest international stars who come from Barbados, and they talk about the opportunities coming from regathering for investment. Let people see what we have. There is nothing here that speaks to investment. I see nothing, unless something's going to come out, that we're gathering with the diaspora for a conference on opportunities for investment. We're going to have what you call a fair, a showcase, a fair, there's a word you have for it, where we can showcase what we have, but we're innovating nothing. So we ain't got nothing to showcase, as I see it, any innovation that is unique to Barbados that we can gather around innovation and technology and allow our people to be exposed and investors invest. But it lacks vision, it lacks thought, it lacks events and activities. They cannot say, Pastor Ferdy, in this forum that we have not come up with suggestions. There is nothing about independence. Is it a strategy when we fed and we party and we eat up in the month of November, we slide into whatever without recognizing independence? Well, I heard on the last night's show with the leader of opposition that they're going to have celebrating the life of His Excellency, national hero, our founder of independence, Errol Barrow. They're going to have a service at Messiah's house in St. John. I'm promoting it. And since they have eradicated of sort any thought of him last independence and all the independence that we have had in 2018, and they will use COVID as an excuse between 2018 and 2024, and every year independence is becoming less prominent nationally. I will be promoting and encouraging persons to show support to the activities that are planned to celebrate the life and legacy of the father of independence. And you know what disturbs me? That, for example, when they had that first shooting and death in St. Lucie, my people, the Bible talks about my people perish for lack of knowledge. Well, I don't know if they got knowledge, but some my people seem not to have common sense or the ability to reason. Do you know that some persons took to the social media and said that it was planned to stop regathering in St. Lucie? This is the thinking. I read today too that someone said, when they were talking about the second shooting, fatal shooting, someone said, what is the Prime Minister doing about it? And quick, so County or people, somebody wrote, she's God. Well, I quickly wrote that she is the leader. And that is what Mar said. That is what Derek said. That crime and these things are community and societal. But the leader, the government has to take responsibility for ensuring the safety and security of its people. And I wrote, but she's the leader of Barbados, to whom twice at the polls she was given a 30-0 unanimous commitment by the people to run Barbados. And certainly she can go on the global platform and instruct the world on global issues while we in Barbados are being exposed to these elements of crime, to unemployment, to bad roads, to nepotism, to favoritism, to seeing our land being misused, to see prime land being
Put into
given
housing.
over to developers, to see non-nationals. I am not against non-nationals who are technocrats, who can do the work coming in, though I am against those coming in and displacing artisans here. And then hear Sister do great saying, we lack the artisans. So what about all these training programs that they were doing since 2018? What is the polyclinic doing? What is skills training doing? And I do know that they're doing good work producing artisans. But the excuse from the minister, again, the senior minister in the Prime Minister's office, responsible must be for land or whatever. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know the title, but I know that he did come out and say that we lack the artisans. That's why they have to bring in. Tell me that again. So, Reverend Ferdy, I'm going to wrap up here coming, but my response was certainly, I know she's not God. She's not my God, but she purports to be a demigod. And that is how the people are seeing her. And
well, I don't know. I don't know if the people are still seeing her like that. I will tell you that. Because Rose, I have confidence. Some people may or may not agree with me, but I have confidence that whenever the next general election is called, she will not be in office. Of course, I understand from some persons that she may not be running again. Of course, that was announced by the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Brother Umar, who recently stepped down. And I believe you all have general elections this year, if my mind serves me correctly. Just saw the Prime Minister of Canada step down because the people wanted him out. I don't know. There was a suggestion by the Vincentian entity that the next person might be Ralph Gonzalez and the person after that, Mia Motley. I don't know. I'm just saying that that's what the Vincentian, I saw in a Vincentian video not long ago. But you know, Rose,
Yes,
I have
please.
always seen government as a facilitator. I mentioned this already tonight. Umar, I don't know what your perspective would be on it. You may have heard some of my comments when we were talking with Dr. Derek Alleyne. But to me, government is a facilitator, and they are supposed to create the type of environment that will release the potential and energies of the citizens of the country to make this country a success. When I look back at the words of our national anthem, and you talked about it when you came on the show tonight already, Rose,
Yes,
when
please.
you said, what was it? You always begin your comments with a couple of lines from the national anthem,
We
and I and
loyal
I
sons.
I think loyal, is it loyal sons,
We
or is it
loyal sons
I
and
think
daughters
it's
all, firm
strict guardians
craftsmen
of our
and women.
heritage. I think it's
Yes,
strict guardians of our heritage, firm craftsmen
of
of
our
our
faith.
faith. So that in truth and in fact, according to our national anthem, it is the people who are supposed to make Barbados great, not the government. But the government has taken on the responsibility to try and make Barbados great, and they're doing so at the exclusion of the masses of the people, without any consultation, jet setting around the world, and as a result, bringing nothing to the country. I have asked on several occasions for somebody to point to me things that have happened effectively on the ground in Barbados as a result of all of the travels of the Prime Minister. And don't talk to me about climate change. I don't even want to get into that. And I'm going to leave that there because I'm sure Omar has some strong perspectives on that. But you go on the international stage and you talk, 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 talk. But what has happened in Barbados as a result of your travel, which you have not given an account of in the expenditures of this country, which we cannot find out because the Public Accounts Committee, which is the majority represented in government, cannot get the government representatives to agree to hold the government to account. So we can't find out how much money has been spent on the private jets and private transport and travel. I have traveled in and out of Barbados when Arthur was Prime Minister. Do you know how many times I've walked in through the front door of American Airlines and turned down between the first class and seen Prime Minister Arthur sitting in the same flight I'm on? I don't know Prime Minister Arthur used the private jet. And then we are going to talk about climate change. Do you have any idea the pollutants a private jet puts in the
Emissions.
atmosphere? You have no moral authority to speak on climate change. Not when we are drilling oil off of Barbados. I understand that is alleged. I understand that is alleged. But I want to warn this administration. If you call a general election in 2025, be prepared to be out of office. Because if you think every smile is a skin teeth, you have another thought coming. I have often said on this program that it did not take the 1/10th iceberg that the captain of the Titanic saw to sink the Titanic. It was what the captain did not see that sank the Titanic. And if you think you have, and incidentally, Rose, I will say that they did not receive a majority vote in 2022 because 5,000 people were disenfranchised from voting as a result of being in quarantine and without the facilitation being made for them to vote. At the same time, the Prime Minister of the Bahamas made provision for his people in quarantine to vote. And had that happened, there would not be a 30-love representation in the Parliament of Barbados. And my understanding, and I stand to be corrected, is that it was a minority government. They got a minority of support in 2022, not the majority of the electorate, because so many of the electorate were not able to vote. So I don't know that the second term is really a legitimate one, but I will leave that there. We're at 9:38. I was looking for Kimar to jump in. He came in a lot earlier when I think you were sharing Omar, and he dropped back out. And I know he was not 100% sure of being able to get on tonight. And your colleague as well, Umar, Senator Nakid, is it? I think it is Senator Nakid. He was supposed to be on tonight as well, but unfortunately hasn't been able to. Sorry.
Senator Naked.
Yes, Senator Nakid. That's correct. Yes. So we need, I talk, I will be honest. I see I'm watching some comments here. Carol says that we're still awaiting the election results, but that's water under the bridge, and we can't sit back. We need to act. We need to prepare ourselves for what is going to be coming down the pipeline this year. In terms of Trinidad, Dr. Umar has shared some things that are also present here. And I like the ideas that you're sharing, but the unfortunate thing, Rose, is that the plans have been already crystallized and put in place for this year without, I don't know, sometimes I say things and I have to stop sometimes. It is the old saying, be sure, let me see what it is, be sure brain is engaged before putting mouth into gear. I think is how they used to put it. But I don't know how much consultation was engaged to plan this regathering. Because if you are saying that next year is the 60th anniversary of independence, which I believe it would be 2026, I don't know anybody makes a big deal about odd number celebrations. We don't celebrate the 59th year anniversary or the 39th wedding anniversary. We celebrate the 25th, the 30th, the 40th, the 50th. We don't celebrate the 57th or the 47th. And not that we don't celebrate the anniversary, but we don't make a big deal of the 47th wedding anniversary. We make a big deal of the 40th or the 50th or the 25th or the 30th. So indeed, unless, and I saw somebody mention it, unless something big is being planned for 2025 that we don't know of. And remember, I shared with you last week that it is alleged that the former Minister of Finance has been selected to be the manager of the Barbados Labour Party political campaign, with the ambassador to CARICOM as the deputy manager. I leaving you to
former
think
Minister of Finance.
I can leave you. I ain't calling name, but if you call the name, I will listen.
You had me a little bit. You mean
so when you
the former? Okay.
Former Minister of Finance that this administration locked horns with on many occasions. This is the man that introduced the 17.5% value-added tax as a temporary matter. Then it became a permanent matter that the current administration opposed, but when they came to office, have done nothing to return it to the 15% value-added tax.
Okay.
See, so that is where we are at. Just looking at some comments here. CARICOM is dead. Caribbean politicians are dead. Oh my goodness. I tell you, well, listen, we have 15 minutes left, and I am going to give each of you, because I don't believe that either one of the others that I anticipated were going to be here are going to be able to make it. So, Brother Umar, I'm going to give you a liberal 5 minutes closing comments, liberal 5 minutes of closing comments. Um, you've heard what Rose has shared. You are living in Trinidad. You are able to determine any similarities and so on that you may be able to refer to. And so, sir, I'm going to give you one of the closing 5 minutes to express your thoughts, not just as it relates to Trinidad. I heard you make mention of the state of emergency, and I was going to actually ask you if you could give us an update on that state of emergency. I understand the Prime Minister Rowley. Is it today that you had Parliament? Today was Parliament in Trinidad, Umar? Because I understand Mr. Rowley has called for an extension of the state of emergency.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like I said, you know, a lot of buzz is happening around the state of emergency. A lot of talk, a lot of discussions. They're going to go into a debate, obviously, as regards to that that call for an extension, and whether or not it is warranted at this point in time. You know, I mean, naturally, in every country, there are laws by which these countries are governed. And if a crime is taking place, so people are committing certain crimes, there is enough provisions in the law to address these crimes, to address these persons who are committing these crimes. But for some reason, um, we have not done it here in Trinidad and Tobago over the years, and it's continuing to go on unabated. And very interestingly, whenever the the PNM, the People's National Movement are in power, there is a tendency to see these crimes of these murders increase. Um, is it a coincidence, or is it something that is planned and that is allowed to happen? Um, I would have written a piece some years back called The Journey of Corey's Head. And I had written this on the heels of one of the 1%ers, one of the 1% here in Trinidad and Tobago, who was murdered. And when they found his body, it was a headless body. There was no way to identify him except and apart from his fingerprint.
Wow.
What I know of is that before, a couple of days before his death, he would have gone in a police station and volunteered his fingerprints. One may ask the question or the reasoning why he would have done something like that. He didn't commit a crime. Why would you want your fingerprint be taken? Is it the fact that you know what was going to happen and the only way to identify your body is your fingerprint? So I would have written that piece, and I would have stated emphatically in that piece that I wrote. I asked the question because I didn't want anybody saying that I, you know, bring me up for defamation or anything like that. So I asked the question: is this a conspiracy to get rid of or to cause the people of Laventille to annihilate themselves so that they would make room for that huge piece of real estate available to the 1%ers? One of the rich and famous 1% here in this country has his home up in Laventille, or the very top of Laventille. And they've had their eyes on this piece of real estate for quite some time. It's the most sought after piece of real estate in Trinidad and Tobago, Laventille. If you take a drive up to Laventille, it's a hill. It overlooks the entire city.
Beautiful area.
Excellent view of the ocean. It's the best piece of real estate in Trinidad and Tobago, by far. And to think that you are allowing black men to annihilate themselves, to kill one another, to cause and to create gangs, or to allow the formation of gangs. We see very much the police being involved in these gang activities. One of our heads of our criminal departments here in Trinidad and Tobago, that's the Police Complaints Authority, would have publicly stated the police is the biggest gang in the country. And he didn't say that, without evidence that he can support by. So there is, common knowledge on the street here in Trinidad and Tobago that policemen are involved in the drug trade, they're involved in gun running, they're involved in human trafficking, and we see many times police officers being dragged before the courts to answer charges to these criminal offenses. So these things, we have to ask ourselves, is the police serious about crime and solving crime and preventing crime and keeping people safe? Or are they just allowing this to happen because there is some bigger agenda that is there that we're not seeing? Or are we seeing it and we're just denying it or just playing foolish and don't want to call them out and to ask them to account for it? And this is something, and we talk about, a recall earlier. I heard you mention the best recall there is the people. The people can act that recall. The people can initiate that recall. Some people say, or you will hear some, of those legal minds would say, we don't have laws surrounding referendum in our countries, in our islands. But if the people were to come out in huge numbers, that surely is going to be a referendum. What else would it be if it would not be a referendum? So while we are being told and we've been fed this information, these false information, and being sold these false beliefs, we know what is going to solve the problem. We, the people, know it. Why are we so reluctant to act? Why are we so reluctant to step up and to speak up?
Yes.
Why is this happening?
I saw someone. Sorry, go ahead.
It's very, very sad what is happening, and I continue to say it, on this program and other platforms as well. We, the people, have the power invested in us to make that difference and to create that change.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so very much, Dr. Abdullah. I mean, you're hitting the nail on the head. I saw somebody comment on it earlier tonight in the chat, and they spoke about the fact, that people need to come out, protest, and I think it's Nigel that says we have the right of civil disobedience. We have that as a right. And when we have our marches, where all of the people, we often get as much as 1,000 people on this show, a lot of who are in Barbados. But when we have a march, we have about 100, or in some instances 150, or some instances less. What about having a protest, Rose, of Someone again mentioned it. You know what they did in Italy? Remember, was it Italy or Spain when they had the attack on the farmers, and the farmers brought out all their tractors and trucks and everything and shut down the whole. I think it's Paris or the capital of Spain. Can't remember the capital of Spain now. But I don't know if you saw that. When the truckers came out in Canada during
Yes,
the
yes.
pandemic, and cause major disruption. Where are all the drivers in Barbados? Just the other day, I was using a vehicle. We had to change the tire because we hit a pothole. Where are all the drivers in the country who will come out and protest and block the roads?
Reverend Ferdy,
See?
remember there was a situation sometime back last year when we allowed a certain person to come on our platform on several occasions to speak about the disparity and in terms of getting contracts, persons who were getting more work and some not, and displaced, and contractors buying equipment for in anticipation of getting a slice of the pie and not getting any. And we invited that individual as well as those other small, medium-sized, whoever contractors, Umar, to come up with us. Take your protest to the street with us and bring the equipment that you invested in, those trucks, those
And the tractors,
whatever.
backhoes,
Come
bobcats.
up with us and protest with us with your equipment. That would have been so impactful. Did they come, Reverend Ferdy? No. We didn't even see them marching. Even if they had come with, say, their T-shirts representing their business, or come in the construction work outfit, so that people would say, that's so and so. They didn't come.
Yeah.
I'll tell
And
you why. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why
could
these
be
things are happening.
disheartening.
I'll tell you why people are like that. We live in perpetual fear. The
There it
people in the
is.
Caribbean,
That's what
perpetual
Chantel,
fear.
that's what Chantel Angel is saying. The people were scared because of the victimization. They
And
don't
I'll
want to
tell
be
you,
on nobody's hit list.
it's something that is it's a psychic, it's a psychological thing. I'll tell you, during the slavery days, the slaves, they were in perpetual fear. They came out of slavery in that same state, perpetual fear. They were sold a number of things that they carry about themselves today, the way they carry about themselves today, and they swear by it, even though it's a lie and it's false. And it's because they fear, if they speak the truth, what their ancestors went through on the slave plantations, they would perhaps have to go through the same thing. And I think it's a national conversation that we must have. And we must be able to employ all the psychologists, the clinical psychologists, those people in the field that deals with this, whatever that's mental out there. And we need to bring those people on board, and we need to have a national conversation as regards to why in the Caribbean region, especially in the Caribbean region, we don't see things. We don't see these things happening. I remember in France when they attempted to raise the retirement age to 60.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Major protests that shut down Paris.
Yeah, they shut it down. In Germany, when they raised the fuel price, they hiked the fuel price. everybody left their vehicles right where it were and went home.
Yeah.
They had to reduce the price to bring it back down the next day.
Somebody in the
How many
chat is
times?
talking about the Dutch farmers and Holland as well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Those were the people who were on the streets, who came out on the
Yeah.
streets.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the people who came out on the street. The truckers in Canada.
Yes.
Where is
Yeah.
the example? Where is the example in the Caribbean? Except on a part, we had a coup in 1990. We had the Grenadian incident with Maurice Bishop, and so on. But where the rest? Where the rest? Where the Black Power movement from the 1970s? Where have they all gone?
Brother Umar, some of them, I'm getting feedback.
Go ahead.
Some of them are now in league in have consultancies, like our ambassador to CARICOM. He was one who raised the consciousness, got people wearing shirt jacks in Africa, the Shikis, and gathering around Bassa. You know that. No, and the talk for reparations and being paid by Drax Plantation, that has suddenly gone silent on. But these people are no longer with the masses in terms of the kind of dialogue or actions that you are speaking of. These people now are either consultants, as I said, they are associated with the powers that be. So it is left to us to raise the
people.
awareness, to educate, to use
Yes.
platforms like these to motivate. And for example, Winston Clark with Come Out Things, people are doing their own kind of activities to keep things on, bring things from the back burner to the front burner, and keep a heat under them and keep a fire under them and keep things ignited. But for me, I am seeing more of these persons. Remember, I said sometime back, when you sleep with the dog, you get dog fleas. And many of them have dog fleas attached to them for whatever reason. They've gone into the kennel and they're there. And
Yes.
there are some of
Yes.
us who are not enticed to go into the kennel. We are staying far from the dog fleas, and we are saying to the public, avoid the kennel, avoid the dog fleas. How successful are we at doing it? I don't know. But we have to be brave enough. And we don't tell lies on this show. We don't speak for the sake of speaking to get viewers and likes and shares. We do it because we are aware, we are conscious, we read, we hear. And for me, I do not entertain persons calling me and asking me to be their mouthpieces. I speak from a position of what I see to be happening and of importance nationally, and I would research and speak on it. And I don't see a reason to be afraid to do it. If we see for within the last is the 13th of January, and there are 3 homicides, we need to speak out. We need to say too early. The horse has bolted to stable too early. Do something so that no more horses can escape and cause that kind of damage.
Mhm.
So on
Yes,
this
yes,
show, we speak
yes.
to national issues and we engage persons like you who could bring your experiences so we can do that comparative analysis. We can look at lessons from you and
Lessons
lessons
learned.
learned and see how we can avoid them or act appropriately.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Marcia, Umar, I got another letter. But this time, this time, Rose, they
Yes,
put their
please.
name and return address on the back of the letter. So I know who sent it. Uh, but Motley makes Forbes' list of power women, but she's not making Barbados's list of power politicians. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 10:04, and I want to maintain my job. I know that Marcia has been posting a number of clips, I believe, from Africa. She's going to be back with us in the not too distant future. Um, no easy day. It was not handwritten this time. It was a photocopy of some article from the newspapers, and on the back of it another photocopy. But at least the name is there, right? But I won't hold up the name for you all to see the person who sent this one. But they were bold enough to put their name on the back. Of course, I don't know if the name is correct, but it's coming from a very influential place in St. Peter, the name of which I won't call at this particular point in time. Brother Umar, want to thank you again for being with us this Monday night, making yourself available. I always, and I really do mean this, I appreciate so very much the input that you make and the sensitivity that you bring to the whole aspect of the global agenda. This is what we need to hear. We need to see what is happening in the bigger space and how that is affecting us on a local basis. So I want to say a great thank you to you for once again making yourself available to us this Monday night, and thank you for offering yourself for the Monday nights. I really, really appreciate that. Like Rose, you're two of my very special guests to have on, and each of you brings just a different perspective. And you're right, Rose, in terms of educating. We're not just coming on here criticizing. And let us be clear, we do not hate anybody. We simply are not happy with the failure to represent the people. That is the issue we have. The failure to be transparent, which you campaigned on, the failure to be accountable, which you said to the people you would be, and you have not been. You have not been transparent. You have not given an account. We can't even get an account of the money spent jet setting around the world. We cannot get an account of the Hope debacle. We cannot get an account for the money spent where World Cup is concerned. We are borrowing hundreds of millions of dollars almost every month, and we are not getting an account. We
And we're
need to
not
get an
getting
account,
the stadium.
and we're not
Another
getting the
school
stadium.
sports coming around and no
Correct.
stadium.
No stadium. Absolutely. And now we are hearing about the cancellation of the colleges of what? Intelligence?
Of excellence.
Sorry. Sorry. Anyhow,
So
No,
what?
but
So
you're
what
quite
are?
right when you say intelligence. You're quite right when you say intelligence because that's what they want to erode. That's what they want to take away from us.
yeah.
Intelligence.
Oh my
And
God.
what are they
That's
going
your
to
fault,
do with
Rose.
the money then? A quick one. What are they going to do with the money that was set aside to establish these elaborate colleges of excellence?
And what are they going to do with the money that was supposed to be channeled from the World Cup or through World Cup 2024 to the development of cricket and the modernization and refurbishing of cricket facilities in Barbados? We're still waiting for an account of all of that. You see, and that's why this show is here. Okay, that's why this show is here. That's why I'm here. Rose is here. Umar is here. Honorable Karita is here. Honorable Nakid is coming, and Kimar, Glyne, and Maxine. We're not here because we have nothing better to do. We're not here because we just enjoy criticizing. No, we are here to hold people's feet to the fire, because this is not the days of old. I've seen it mentioned already several times here in the chat. Those days are gone. We are holding you to account. And I'm telling you, Barbados Labour Party, Democratic Labour Party, or independent individuals, you will be held to account. This is not the days gone by. We are a different generation. We are a different engagement. We are a different modus operandi. These are different times. And I want to say that I hope that some action will be taken by all the law enforcement authorities en masse, to rein in this violent activity that we're having in our country, and to bring our sense of safety back to the people of Barbados. Rose, thank you so very much
Thank you
again
too.
for helping us to gather together. Together or together. Anyhow, don't worry about it. Together, gathering. We
Regathering.
gathering. You understand? We gathering. I don't know. We
You don't,
gathering
you don't,
to
you
get
don't have
them
to be,
killed.
you don't have to, you don't have to be politically correct on this program.
Believe you me, Omar, I say some things deliberately sometimes. Trust me, I don't make mistakes like that. But I understand what you're saying. But thank you so very much again, Rose. I want to thank Dr. Derek Alleyne as well, who was very good in offering some
Very good.
suggestions and solutions tonight. And we look forward to another exciting show this coming Wednesday. Folk, we are expecting to have some discussion on the matter of our new republic constitution. All right, we are hoping to have that, Rose. You better prepare something there. I'm going to see if I can get some other persons in as well, that we can have a great Wednesday night show. So thank you, loyal opposition, for being here. All of you that have contributed. Again, thank you, Omar. Thank you, Rose. Thank you, Dr. Derek, in your absence. Thank you, Kimar, for even though you were not able to make it, Dr. Nakid, even though he was not able to make it, maybe on Wednesday we can get them on board. It's been a great show tonight, in my view, and I think in the view of others. Again, tonight, as I look at the chat, others have felt that way, and I want to thank you all for your kind remarks, for your input, your questions, your contributions, and your comments. On behalf of the Marcia Week Show, wishing you a great night. God bless you, and have a great day tomorrow. Look forward to seeing you on Wednesday evening. God bless. God bless,
Okay.
and bye-bye. Thanks, Omar. Take
Bye
care.
bye,
Bye-bye.
Omar. Bye,
Bye-bye.
Reverend. Bye, everybody.